You ever have one of those days where you realize your life has turned into a bad sitcom, except instead of a laugh track, you get county citations and a spray-painted patio? Let me tell you, I never thought I'd find myself fighting off the HOA president with a birdhouse camera and a binder full of legal documents. But here we are. And you better believe this is what happens when you tell a person no and they just can't let it go. I'd barely finished rinsing cow slobber off my hands when I saw her, Linda Carter, our HOA president, marching up like she owned the place, jangling a set of keys so big it could unlock Fort Knox and trailing her little army of maintenance guys like some kind of suburban general. I swear the way she glared at me when I asked what she was doing at my gate, if looks could seize property, I'd be homeless. She didn't knock, didn't even bother with the fake neighborly wave. She just went at my lockbox, clanging keys, trying to bust it open like it was some kind of community mailbox. That was the moment I realized I might actually lose my own property to someone else's obsession. Sun was low, throwing these long shadows over the field dust still swirling from the cattle. I was just finishing up chores, thinking about grabbing a cold one, and then footsteps crunch, 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 Linda Rickstone, and two maintenance guys all laser-focused on my gate. Linda had that look, the one where someone's decided they're not just right, they're righteous. She raises the key ring, looking me dead in the eye. We need access for the annual fire lane inspection. She declares no hello, nothing. These are the community master keys for emergency access points. She was waving that key ring around like it was a sheriff's badge. Thing is, the lockbox she was attacking, yeah, that was my own bright label and everything, private property. Private. Click, 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 wrong key after wrong key, silver brass, even one that looked like it came out of Dracula's front door. None of them fit, because of course it's my combination. I change it every month just to keep things tight. She's scratching up the paint, getting frustrated, and you can just feel the energy shifting. So I say, real calm, ma'am, that's my personal security system. Those master keys aren't for private land. She doesn't even flinch, just keeps trying, like maybe one of them will magically work if she jams hard enough. I pulled out my phone and started recording because I could tell this was about to go from weird to police real quick. Linda, I need you to stop tampering with my property. I deny access to my land. There's no emergency here. My heart was pounding. She turns around, red-faced, and starts shouting. Says she has authority under HOA emergency protocols that I'm obstructing community safety, and then she actually whips out her phone and calls the police. Go ahead, I told her. I'd love to hear what law enforcement says about your right to break into my lockbox. 15 minutes later, two officers pull up, Officer Martinez and Officer Johnson. Linda runs at them, waving her keys and yelling about emergency access and insurance compliance. The officers look at the lockbox, look at the private property sign, then back at Linda, like, really? Officer Martinez asks, ma'am, what authority gives you access to private property? Linda sputters, goes on about being HOA president and annual inspections. Martinez asked to see my deed, and I bring it out, property lines and all. After a good look, Officer Johnson says, ma'am, this is private property. HOA can't override that without easement or a court order. Silence. You could have heard a mosquito land on my truck. Linda tries to argue, starts stammering about fire lanes, but the officers are done. You'll have to resolve this through legal channels, they say. No citations, just a lot of awkwardness. When the police left, Linda stayed for a second holding those master keys, like maybe they'd still turn something around. The crew practically sprinted back to their truck, and all I could think was, this isn't over. Linda gives me this cold, you will comply threat and storms off, keys jangling. I just stared at the fresh scratches she left on my gate. Now I figured she might try some paperwork move next, and I was right. 2 days later, I get a stiff little letter from Pinnacle Property Management taped to my door, all official, all bold, annual vegetation clearance inspection required for community fire insurance. Says access is mandatory, and if I don't comply well, there goes insurance. Sounded more like a threat than a neighborly request, if you ask me. I started making calls, county code enforcement, then my insurance guy, Tom. The county clerk explained, real patient, that HOA can ask for inspections but can't force entry to private property without a recorded easement or a court order. Tom confirmed at Jordan, unless the HOA has a filed easement, they can't force entry. Insurance can't override your deed. That was a relief. But I still felt watched. Linda kept driving by, slowing down, taking notes. Then 3 days after her surveillance cruise, my birdhouse camera, the one disguised to fool even the nosiest neighbors, caught Rick and his crew trespassing. They weren't sneaking, they were brazen spray painting. Fire lane, no parking, in blinding orange letters right across my brick patio, shifting my furniture, acting like they owned the place. I measured 3 feet inside my line, clear as day. Emma, my neighbor, caught it all from her window too, and even filmed it. Together we had time-stamped video photos, everything. That wasn't some prank. That was an organized attempt to turn my private patio into a fake access road. We called the police officer Martinez again. He watched the footage, shook his head, and said, "This is trespass and vandalism." He filed a report, took witness statements. Emma was outraged. "This isn't kids tagging a wall," she said. "This is grown adults doing damage under fake authority." But I needed to know where this idea even came from, so I drove to the county recorder's office. I asked for every easement record on my land, and there it was, a 2016 document giving the subdivision emergency access rights. My heart sank until I flipped a few more pages and found the vacation of easement, an official signed stamped document from 2018 showing that access rights had been permanently terminated and rerouted to another side of the community. My patio off limits. That right there was the nail in Linda's legal coffin. Armed with all this, I called a meeting with Pinnacle Linda and my insurance underwriter, Rebecca. We're all sitting around my table, Linda with her fancy leather portfolio, me with my binder and my nerves, Rebecca on video call. Linda starts all professional. "We require annual inspections for insurance coverage, and the community has historical access rights through Mr. Blake's property." Rebecca interrupts. "Can you provide current legal documentation for those access rights?" I put the vacation document up on the screen, county stamp signatures, everything. Linda's face went from red to paper white. Rebecca's verdict: insurance can't support forced access that isn't legal. Linda explodes. "You can't let community safety disappear because of paperwork." But Rebecca is stone cold. "Ma'am, insurance companies can't support trespassing or property damage, no matter how noble the intent." Linda storms out, slamming her portfolio, and I'm left there with Rebecca going over all the damage, confirming insurance will be sending a formal letter to the HOA clarifying they can't back Linda up. I thought that was the end, but the next morning while I'm out with the cattle, here comes Linda, this time with a bigger crew, new faces, and that same set of keys. She's shouting about final inspection being mandatory, trying to perform for her workers. I hit record and step in. "Linda, you're still trespassing. You still have no authority." She ignores me, jamming those master keys even harder, her face pure rage. That's when Officer Sarah Chen from County Code Enforcement pulls up, because after yesterday I'd asked for an official to witness whatever came next. She gets out, clipboard in hand, calm as you please. "Ma'am, unauthorized access to private security devices is trespassing under County Code 1247. Do you have current legal authority?" Linda shoves her paperwork at Sarah, who looks it over and says, "These rights were terminated in 2018. You're exercising claims that don't exist." She writes up 2 citations, trespassing and attempted tampering. Linda just stands there clutching those useless keys, looking like she's finally realized the room is empty except for the consequences. After that, I gathered every shred of evidence, video, photos, documents, police reports, repair estimates, into a giant binder and met with Pinnacle's regional supervisor. I showed them how Linda had escalated from failed key attempts to spray paint vandalism to outright trespass, all on claims that were legally vacated. They started an internal investigation and sent a notice requiring Linda to stop all property access attempts pending legal review. The insurance company suspended all emergency coverage tied to false claims. Then came the final act, an HOA board meeting with the whole neighborhood watching. Linda sits at the head table looking like a deflated balloon. Insurance underwriter Rebecca and Officer Chen testify remotely, laying out the facts. The easement was vacated. Linda's claims were bogus, her actions illegal. The HOA's lawyer warned the board about personal liability, and when the vote came, the board had no confidence left in Linda. She was out effective immediately. They covered my damages, paid for repairs, sent a formal apology, and updated community policy so nobody else could ever pull a stunt like this again. And Linda, she still insisted it was all for community safety, even as she packed up her portfolio and keys. But in the end, it wasn't the noise or the title or the master keys that settled things. It was what was signed, recorded, and real. One stamped document shut it all down. So let me ask, have you ever seen someone dig themselves so deep, refusing to admit the facts that they lose everything except their stubborn pride? Drop your thoughts below. Do you think community safety ever trumps property rights? Or did I do the right thing standing my ground? And hey, if this saga hit home, tap that little thanks button to support the channel. Take care of your gates and your paperwork. You never know when you'll need both.